It's probably not going to come as a big shock to you that Comcast is spreading anti-net neutrality propaganda. You might recall that in 2015, the FCC issued the Open Internet Order, and that established some basic net neutrality principles under the law. The order classified internet service providers as common carriers under Title II of the 1934 Communications Act, giving the FCC more authority to regulate them. And using Title II like this is how you enforce net neutrality. Otherwise, the net neutrality laws are basically useless if you don't have this designation for internet service providers. Comcast is creating anti-net neutrality propaganda to try to fight back against that really important classification of internet service providers as common carriers. Here's a tweet from Comcast, and you'll see how cleverly disguised this propaganda is. They said, quote, "There's widespread consensus on net neutrality protections, and we support them. Read more," and then they provide a link. So it sounds like, oh, wow, Comcast is in favor of net neutrality. When you click on the link, it takes you to this page, which we're showing our TV audience on Comcast's website. And it's a message from Comcast President Dave Watson, which says in part, quote, "Whether you are a Comcast customer or just an interested observer, you may be hearing a lot about net neutrality and openness on the internet. Let me be clear. Comcast supports strong, legally enforceable net neutrality protections that ensure a free and open internet for all of our customers. Our customers expect that we will protect their right to enjoy an open internet, and that is exactly what we do every day." Sounds pretty good, right? Seems like they must really believe in net neutrality at Comcast. The letter goes on to say, "This is how we run our internet business. Our network and business practices are in complete alignment with these protections that will remain true even if the FCC reverses public utility regulation of our broadband network." Basically saying even if net neutrality goes away, we will still do the right thing. And the letter goes on to say, as our chairman and CEO Brian Roberts made clear today, as well as my colleague David Cohen explains in a blog post today, Title II and net neutrality are two different things. You can absolutely be for net neutrality, which we are, but against using outdated utility regulation to do it. There are better ways to guarantee net neutrality than classifying all broadband businesses under Title II public utility regulations. Of course, he doesn't mention what those better ways are. And that's because, again, Title II is how you enforce and guarantee net neutrality. And that doesn't explain, they don't explain why they're against Title II. And that's because it allows the FCC to regulate them and enforce net neutrality. Title II is net neutrality, and Comcast says we're for net neutrality, but we're against Title II. They're basically saying net neutrality is a great thing and we're for it, but that statement is meaningless because if you don't have the FCC classifying internet service providers as common carriers, essentially there's no power to enforce net neutrality. Here's another tweet from Comcast about this. "We believe in an open internet and give our customers the net neutrality protections they expect." Again, meaningless statement, but they're advocating for the opposite. They're saying, here's what we are in favor of. Oh, but by the way, we want to get rid of this Title II common carrier designation. This is desperate. I mean, they're tweeting at random people on the internet. In response to all of the smoke blowing, someone asked Comcast on Twitter in response to this stuff, quote, "Then why did you spend all that money lobbying to get a change?" And Comcast replied, "Title II does not equal net neutrality. Best way to ensure net neutrality is congressional action." Comcast knows that that's not going to happen under the current Congress. Congress just gave Comcast the right to sell your internet history. The idea that you can get rid of the Title II stuff and Congress will do the right thing is so bogus, especially when we know about new FCC Chairman Ajit Pai, who spent his career as a lawyer for telecom companies. Pretty clever by Comcast, right?
It's just people have litigated this. They want to keep net neutrality, the law of the land. Public polling suggests this, and it's a very concerning time when Ajit Pai is the head of the FCC.
Yes, it is.
We have a president who has no idea what he's talking about when it comes to this matter.
And this is a good opportunity to mention an interview that you may not know about, Pat. It's a couple-year-old interview. I once interviewed someone named Crystal High who showed up, and the pitch was she's going to talk about internet freedom. And she was pitched as sort of like an internet freedom guest. And we did some background research and figured out she was a paid shill for the anti-net neutrality ISP establishment. And I called her out on it during the interview. She was completely flummoxed. It's one of the best interviews
Wow.
we've done. I mean, she gets caught red-handed and she ends up admitting that, yes, she's financially compensated for going out and repeating these talking points. Crystal High, K-R-I. No, I think it's K-R-Y-S-T-A-L.
So that was probably a few years ago when net neutrality was last being debated. We
I
have
think
to
it was-
bring that back as a classic interview, I think.
I think it was from 2015. Yeah, very, very good interview. I encourage you to check it out. Propaganda from Comcast, probably not surprising. Today's episode of The David Pakman Show is made possible in part by Warby Parker eyeglasses. Warby Parker recently did the right thing and ditched advertising on right-wing conspiracy website Breitbart, pulling their ads off. And you can get the free 5-day home try-on from Warby Parker. Check out their glasses. I use them when I'm not wearing contact lenses. I started with the free at-home trial. They send you 5 pairs of glasses. You see which ones you like. You send them back, and whichever one you pick, they will put your prescription into. I like this because I can actually show the glasses to other people and not have to just decide on the spot like in an eyeglass store. The eyeglass industry is controlled by very few corporations that keep the prices very, very high, even over $300 for prescription glasses. With Warby Parker, they start at just $95. Mine costs that, including lenses. And for every pair sold, they give a pair to someone in need. So to try the 5 pairs and support The David Pakman Show, go to warbyparkertrial.com/TDPS.